The next track, however, Awaiting Funeral Winds, which I believe was the second to last song we wrote of the 7. Again, this one, 7 songs, was the longest demo to date. Awaiting Funeral Winds was kind of like us looking at each other and saying, man, this is the hit on the album. This is a very alluring tune, which today I still can listen to it, and it still does have some of that quality, a little awkwardness here and there, but again, a very slow, atmospheric, gothic, creepy, dark piece, kind of along the lines of Dead Cthulhu 8 Streaming, but perhaps done a little more proficiently this time out. Had a little bit of a better recording all around on it. Sparse guitars going on, and again, Waiting Funeral Winds, another Anastasia-driven romance song for me underneath everything. I can kind of remember I remember thinking of the song and having visions of this particular song. There was a local band in Allentown that they had a kind of like a hippie type of house. It was an open house for people to just go at any given time, and you could just walk in their house and hang out, and it was very communal type of thing, almost like a Warhol type of place. You know, people always drinking, partying, and you could go at any given time and find different people there. And it was an old row home, a double, I think. They were in the end of the row, and it was a parking lot, and you could climb out their window and sit on multiple tiers of the roof. And I remember going there and sitting outside on the roof and just, you know, drinking and feeling very lonely inside, staring out off of this roof. Even though there were plenty of people around me, I felt a sense of aloneness, and I think it was perhaps a desire for company, or Anastasia's company, and it would weigh heavy on my mind at this time, and I kind of remember that was an environment where Awaiting Funeral Winds was kind of it was centralized around that environment. I kind of just sitting there waiting while these sickly feelings came over you of aloneness, you know, almost like you're dying alone in a desert or something. And I kind of remember having those feelings, which I think, you know, are kind of normal for a young guy longing for a girl and not really being able to tell her or express the feelings or whatever, which I didn't, because I felt that might not be a good thing for the progression of the band, and I think again it was a dark love song, and it was this was starting to fill me. This emptiness was becoming a real, or this emptiness and desire somehow combined, coming together to be a real muse for me in writing, because I would take these emotions and I would try to capture them musically. And this was really interesting for me because the music became completely driven by emotion, whereas in the past it was driven by perhaps interests in different things and different subject matters that interested me or that I felt strongly about, and it became, Savior Sect was starting to become extremely internalized, and it would become so more and more with each progressive demo through the 90s, and it became very personal to me, a very but I would still express the ideas, I think, more or less, not autobiographically, but more image related, and it wouldn't perhaps be true to my life. It would be my feelings placed in other environments, maybe, and maybe sometimes not, as in this case, where I really found a setting sitting there and just feeling lonely amongst a whole group of people. So an odd feeling, but really captured well in Awaiting Funeral Winds. So that is the history of that one. One more note on that last one there. Again, became a real driving favorite, especially for Anastasia. She really liked that one. She really liked singing that. Really brought her voice out, and it was interesting that she could interpret my lyrics, which basically were about her most of the time, and she could kind of capture that and maybe on some level understand through her own eyes or her own feelings that perhaps she may have been feeling things not necessarily for me, but maybe feeling that same emptiness in her own life, which probably was the case, and was really able to bring some real life to the songs.